this is going to be 1 through 5 on the MCA packet. And number 1 asks us to find which of these is rational. Now, if you have a calculator, and that will vary on the MCA, they might not give you the calculator for this type of question. You could just take, these are all being multiplied, so I could take 18 times 12 and then find out when I square root that if I get a rational number. Now, if you don't have a calculator, there's another way to do this. So for instance, let's look at A, square root of 18 times the square root of 12. Alright, we can break this down into, well, we can simplify it. So I know that this breaks down into 9 times 2, or the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. And I know the square root of 9 is 3. Alright, and 12, I can break down into the square root of 4 and the square root of 3. Okay, and we know the square root of 4 is 2. So if I reordered all my multiplication, I could take 2 times 3 times the square root of 2 times the square root of 3. Alright? And what we get is 6 square root of 6. That is irrational, not rational. So it's not that one. Okay, if we go down to B, I can look at the square root of 12, because that's part of my problem here in B. And I know the square root of 25 is 5. So this would be 5 times 2 times the square root of 3, or 10 times the square root of 3. Also not going to be rational. I can look at C and eliminate that one pretty quickly too, because again I know that this comes out to 5 square rooted, and 43 is a prime number. So 5 times the square root of 43 is going to be irrational, because a prime number is not going to break down at all, and if I square root that, I'll get a weird irrational number. So D must be the one that is rational. Let's just check to see that that's true. So if I take 18 and split that down, or simplify it, again 9 to 2, and we know this is 3. So I got 3 times the square root of 2, and then 50 breaks down into the square root of 2 and the square root of 25. And the square root of 25 is 5. Okay? Okay, now since everything's being multiplied together, I've got 3 times 5, which is 15, times the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. But these two together multiplied gives me the square root of 4, which gives me 2. So really I have 3 times 2 times 5, which does give me a rational answer. Alright, so there's that one. Moving on, this one's pretty quick. Anytime you add an irrational number, or two irrationals or anything, if you add an irrational to anything, you're going to get an irrational number. So you can simplify this a little bit. This comes out to 2, since square root of 4 is 2, and 2 plus the square root of 5 still gives you an irrational number. Okay, since the square root of 5 is irrational. Number 3, if you had a calculator, again, you can take the square root of 14 and figure out which digits it's in between. However, what I like to do is look at 14 and go down. So 13, 12, 11, 10, 9 is the next square root that I know, which is 3. And if I go up, 15, 16 is the next square root above it that I know. So I know that the square root of 14 has to be between 3 and 4. So we're looking at B. Alright, so there's that one. For number 4, we can again do some elimination, but the most, we can look for an obvious answer here too, but most of you can look at D and say, okay, I know that that's probably going to be it, because if I square root 13, I'm going to get a number less than 13. So D is the correct answer. You can go through and check the rest. 3 to the second is 9, but 9 is not greater than the square root of 85, because the square root of 81 is 9, so the square root of 85 is bigger than 9, so it's not that one. 16 is not less than 8, and 6.25 is not less than 6, so we're looking at D there, okay? And lastly, we'll stop with number 5 here. We're going to use our exponent laws to figure this one out. Remember that numbers have their own exponents. This too applies to both of these. It's a power to a power law. So on top I've got 5 times second times x to the sixth all over 20, and then I can take this power to a power, x to the sixth. Alright? So really what do we got here? We've got 5 times 16 times x to the sixth all over 20 times x to the sixth. Well, your x to the sixth are going to cancel out, and then we are left with 5 times 16, which happens to be 80 over 20, and 80 divided by 20 gives me 4, so we're looking at C for that one. Alright, so there's 1 through 5 on the MCA